and seeing what other people have been able to dig up on this situation together. Overall, after seeing the real story behind these reference tracks and seeing who they are actually coming from, it is going to be hard for anybody to sit who were working on an entire collab record at a time, all together, from having real connections in the industry with some of the biggest people in it, to literally working with someone who is as close to Drake as you could be. I mean, you tell me what's going on here, and overall, with there being a real story to back everything Moolah has told, commercial rappers who may have leaned more into the pop side of things like him, or just in general made highly chart-friendly music that appealed to wider audiences than traditional hip-hop did, with someone like Post Malone, for example, who in terms of making mega songs was right there with Drake, and we knew that he was using Ghostwriters on a track like Rockstar.
Banger, yes, say. Fuck. Yo, what's going on YouTube? What's going on? We're back with another banger, yes sir. Today's video, we got how Drake just officially exposed using Ghostwriters for everything. Damn, I told y'all last video when we found out this nigga had 2 Ghostwriters, bro. 2, not 1, 2 Ghostwriters. And the last one, I mean, this second one that he's getting exposed for is now exposing him for writing all of his music, bro. All of his music. And that's insane. You feel me? So let's see what Fantastic Hip Hop has to say in today's video. Hit that big red subscribe button and that like button. You feel me? We're on the road to 600 subscribers and we're trying to hit it before the end of the month. Today's date is April 7th, and at the time of this recording, we're at 496 subscribers. Gang, I need y'all to smash that subscribe button so we can hit that 600 subscriber goal. I know y'all can do it. The power of you guys are absolutely insane. And I've been trying to switch up these, like YouTube settings wise, so we can actually try to get these videos more out there. You feel me? That being said, if you guys can, share these videos with your friends and family so we can grow this channel as much as possible. That being said, let's get it.
When it comes to Drake, there is no more running for this guy, and he can no longer hide from the truth, because despite what OVO and his fans have tried to cover up with the newest leaks that are trying to tell us that Drake has not even wrote his most personal lyrical songs like his timestamp records, despite what they want to tell you, there has never been more proof that Drake is really the biggest fraud in hip-hop and that everything he has ever stood for is a sheer and utter lie. Because from digging into the origin of these reference tracks to using Drake's own position and comments about how he used to be treated in the music industry against him, we can finally clearly see more than ever that Drake was never an artist and really was only ever a brand. And now, before we go any further into this and expose Drake and his credibility as an MC in a way that is gonna change your perception of his entire career, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And as this story is gonna change everything and Drake and his fans don't want people to know what's going on here, really, it has never been more important to leave that like. And so now, with that said, when it comes to Drake, well, when the 3 reference tracks leaked from a rapper who is known by names like Moolah and Chapo, Drake fans and others tried to write these off as being fake without any other thought about it. And some even believed it was so ridiculous that they tried making little jokes that classic Kendrick Lamar songs had reference tracks just like these. Well, now the time for joking is over for these guys, because both from diving into this further and seeing what other people have been able to dig up on this situation together, overall, after seeing the real story behind these reference tracks and seeing who they are actually coming from, it is going to be hard for anybody to sit down and say that these are not real. And again, if this was another artist, maybe it would be a different story. But especially as we know there has been such a long history of Drake doing these things already, as just to lay out the groundwork of Drake's ghostwriting.
I mean, me personally, I never even knew Drake had ghostwriters. Like, for real. Like I said, I just listen to the music. I don't really deep dive into none of these artists like that, unless I really fuck with them. And to be honest, my favorite artist, you feel me? I don't even do a deep dive on his life, my nigga, because I got my own life to run. You feel me? I got too much shit to worry about to be worrying about another nigga's life. You feel me? That's just me, though. Those of y'all that really do, you know, follow them all the way and, you know, are locked in with your favorite artists like that, y'all let me know. Did y'all already know that Drake had ghostwriters already? I don't know if you guys knew about his first one, you feel me? The one that got, not exposed, but exposed himself, as in telling everybody that he was a ghostwriter for Drake in the last reaction. Did you guys know about all this? Because me personally, I didn't know about none of it.
If we go through his catalog, from If You're Reading This It's Too Late to Scorpion to Her Loss to For All the Dogs, there has been reference tracks from various songs on all of those albums that have come out and that we have all heard. I mean, the guy's already got a horrible reputation for these things, and now adding to this all-time awful track record. With these 3 new reference tracks in question, which of course are from the songs 5 AM in Toronto, 4 PM in Calabasas, and Draft Day, which of course are all considered some of the most essential lyrical performances Drake has ever delivered. It's really looking terrible for Drake in terms of anybody believing that these songs came from the same pen that he wrote The Hard Part 6 with. And now the reason really why a lot of this is because one guy has connected the dots between the faint and mysterious tracks that nobody else knew what to do with, and who I am talking about is a guy who goes by the name of ItzJay Nolan. And right now, his findings about this entire situation are really starting to gain a lot of traction because he did some of the best.
Is that the same guy that's exposing Drake right now on Twitter? Is that the same guy, or is this just a whole nother person he's adding to the mix?
Work on finding some super small details that are just changing the perception of all of this. And with that said, make sure to support this guy and check him out everywhere because he is great at what he does. And so how he has helped expose the mystery of all of this and make things for Drake look worse than ever is by showing everybody that the rapper who made these tracks isn't just a random guy who came from out of nowhere and is doing all of this for clout, but that he actually has a real history in the music industry. As first off, Moolah was a guy who used to be signed to Harvey Mason Jr., who currently is the head of the Recording Academy, so in of that self, that tells you a lot. And what it turns out to be is that this guy has worked in the industry for quite some time. He's a professional writer who has worked with a ton of big artists, and so considering connections in the industry he has, what we can say at the very least is that most people would not make things like these up because they can ruin their entire reputation with what they are doing. Exactly. But now beyond just that, and the finding about this rapper from Jay Nolan that tells us the most here, is that this MC who goes by names like Chapo and Moolah used to work very closely with none other than Boy Wonder. And of course, Boy Wonder is one of Drake's go-to producers, and Drake has been with him since the start of his career. And after there were real logs and timestamps of this guy and Boy Wonder's friendship, and even finding out that the two were working on an entire collab record at a time, altogether from having real connections in the industry with some of the biggest people in it, to literally working with someone who is as close to Drake as you could be. I mean, you tell me what's going on here, and overall, with there being a real story to back everything Moolah has told us up, these reference tracks do seem like they have every reason to be real, and how if Drake never had any other run-ins with being caught using Ghostwriters before this, maybe this conversation would end here and we could give him a pass. But again, with us...
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can give him a pass because we wouldn't have known about shit, you feel me? Like, we would have never knew he had Ghostwriters, so no one would even bring this shit up. He would still be looked at as, damn, this nigga wrote a lot of hard-ass music, especially 5 AM Toronto. Like, all his big songs that everyone knows him for, of actually speaking some shit in bars in, you feel me? Those were all ghost-written. That is fucking insane to me. And then he goes on this rampage of saying that people are faking streams, faking numbers, faking this, faking that, but the whole time, nigga, you haven't wrote none of your music. You feel me? It's like, what?
Seeing this exact same story over and over again, this really seems to fall in line with situations that happen with people like Quentin Miller, and this guy really just seems to be a...
And this is the guy I was talking about, his first ghostwriter, Quentin Miller. This is his first ghostwriter right here. And they haven't showed the second ghostwriter's face yet, you feel me?
Another person who ended up being the pen for Drake. Now beyond all of this, which is already working against the biggest loser in hip-hop, just adding more validity to the idea that Drake has been deceiving us for so long, and that for a while, the way he has presented and even released music is not even to function as an artist, but just a brand. If we go back a little before the beef and the downfall of Drake, really in the ladder of Drake's own label and what artists were most important, Drake was considered one of the top guys, and really the only person who was ever clearly in front of him was Taylor Swift.
Hey everybody, my name is Sam, aka Sambucha, and I'm a YouTuber who makes variety content ranging from challenges.
And understanding how much the industry used to push Drake at every chance they got, and even seeing how Drake's stardom was so big at a point, that he really started to neglect rap
bro.
when it came to the big records he was making and was trying to be as much of a pop star as he could have been. Just knowing how the biggest names in the industry like Taylor Swift have access to the top writing and talent teams because they are so important to the entirety of the music world, that the label gives them every single resource possible to make sure that their songs never fail. I mean, just off this premise alone, it doesn't seem that far off that Drake would have the same resources working for him, because even in rap itself, when we compare Drake to big commercial rappers who may have leaned more into the pop side of things like him, or just in general made highly chart-friendly music that appealed to wider audiences than traditional hip-hop did, with someone like Post Malone, for example, who in terms of making mega songs was right there with Drake, and we knew that he was using Ghostwriters on a track like Rockstar. I mean, as these two around their peaks were pretty much the exact same archetype of rapper and were...
See, that's another thing for me too, though. I never knew that Post Malone had a ghostwriter for Rockstar. You feel me? I've heard the song before, but I'm not locked in like that to where I do all these research and I follow them. I don't even follow Post Malone. I don't follow Drake. You feel me? I don't even follow my most favorite artist. You feel me? I don't follow them, so I'm not that locked in. I'm not on Twitter. You feel me? So I'm not locked in like that. So finding all this information for me is all new, and it's like, damn, like these niggas really can't write their own shit. Like, what are they going through? Like a mental block, writer's block, or like what's going on? You feel me? I feel like when artists get ghostwriters, are they going through like writer's block, or they personally just don't feel like writing music, so they go get a ghostwriter to make them a song? You feel me? Y'all let me know how that ghostwriter shit works. Because me personally, I feel like if you're getting a ghostwriter, it's either one of two things. You don't want to make no music, so you hire a ghostwriter to make all your songs for you. You feel me? Or you just can't rap, my nigga, but you got the voice for it, so you get a ghostwriter so they can make you the music and you can just rap it because you have the voice for it. You feel me? Y'all let me know down below in the comments what y'all opinion is on ghostwriting.
Doing the same things in their own way for the industry. Again, if we know someone like Post was using writers, it's not that far off to say that Drake has been this whole time. And beyond all the stuff about the industry, as rap fans, I don't think we learned more about Drake's actual skill set as a writer than when he was in his beef with Kendrick. Because clearly you could see that between Push-Ups and Family Matters to then The Hard Part 6, Drake was just not able to deliver a performance that even made sense compared to his own lyrical standards. And again, when we question in the beef why Drake never released an actual track of just pure bars like a timestamp record, you have to wonder if it was because he couldn't get caught using ghostwriters in the most pivotal moment he was ever a part of. And especially with The Hard Part 6 and how that turned out. Seeing how quickly that record was put out, you have to question if it failed as much as it did, because he could not get others to write a better track for him. And for me, I do think this is the exact case of what happened here.
Do you guys think that is true? That any record Drake put out that he wrote himself, they all flopped, versus all the ones his ghostwriters written, they all went up to, like, you know, Billboard? Do you guys feel like that is true? Y'all let me know down below in the comments. I'm actually very curious to see what you guys are going to say.
Because when you just track the history of Drake's pen, and just to add more reference, compare it to any other rapper who is known as a lyricist in hip-hop history. When we look at guys who are known for writing raps, whether it's Kendrick or Cole, or other people like Tyler the Creator, Wale, or Big Sean, for example, who of course all came up with Drake right around the same time. When you look at all of these guys at the different points they have been in their careers, no matter where they have been at in terms of how popular they are or what they are doing, we don't see people's lyrical ability fall off to a point where it sounds like two completely different artists, unless we are discussing people.
So I'm saying that's another thing too that you can find out if someone's ghostwriting, is if they're going so hard in the beginning of their career, doing crazy, and then all of a sudden they drop some shit and you listen to it and you're like, this sounds like a whole different person. Who the fuck is this? You feel me? Then you just start matching music, and then you're like, yeah, this nigga definitely got a ghostwriter. You feel me? This is his ghostwritten music, and then this is his music. You feel me? You can start comparing. And you're like, yeah, most definitely. You feel me? Y'all let me know how y'all feeling down below in the comments. Let's get it.
People who have used writing teams and who are presenting to us fake versions of themselves when they are on tracks. And again, while we can dig deeper into the story of these reference tracks to figure out more of their origin, I don't even think that's necessary, because if you ask yourself as a hip-hop fan, what When has another rapper had such a major discrepancy between songs and their ability as a lyricist? Again, unless it's other rappers who we know have used writing teams from the greats like Hove, Nas, M, and Wayne, but even with smaller rappers from all eras.
See, even Eminem, my nigga, this is blowing my mind. I never knew Eminem had a ghostwriter. You're telling me the number one nigga that I thought, I'm telling Eminem was the only nigga that I thought that never would have a ghostwriter, bro. Because how he raps, bro. It's just like this nigga just goes. And he just goes off the dome. Like, how do you have a ghostwriter, my nigga, if you can really just go off the dome? You feel me? Y'all explain that to me. I hope he, explains more of M's situation. Because I want to know, how the fuck does he got a ghostwriter, bro? Are you serious? Eminem, my nigga, what? It gotta be just for one song,
in terms of their ability to write bars, nobody has ever been as inconsistent as Drake, who claims to be a real lyricist and who claims to do the most authentic things when they are writing their most important songs. And so with all of this, from the industry reasons, which also may explain why Drake's new album underperformed as much as it did, because he just did not have access to the same resources he once did to make sure that his music would never fail even when it was pretty horrible, to the clear regression we can see in his pen as hip-hop fans, to the news story which is showing that the guy who leaked all these reference tracks used to be working as close as you could with Drake's go-to producer. Altogether, no matter what angle you want to look at this from, there has never been more that we can put together that is showing us that Drake doesn't just use ghostwriters for the big pop songs he makes, but also for the most important lyrical tracks as well. And with this, I'm not surprised because Drake has managed to let us down in every way possible already. But really, if there was any chance that down the line his old music would still be able to stand like it used to, and that his legacy would be remembered for the good parts of what he did, if more stuff can come out to make this a bigger story, that is all gone. Because with Drake now doing everything he has done to go against hip-hop after this beef, and with his entire catalog now starting to seem fake, in terms of that each of his albums and even the ones that have been well liked are now presenting us a version of a guy who just was never real, or who was never telling us what was really going on. And to quote Kendrick, a rapper with the ghostwriter, what happened? It's just disappointing to see, but at least now we know that as Drake is having the worst fall off from hip-hop that we have ever seen in terms of somebody just moving down the all-time list as much as they have, then now at least we know that everything he ever did was a lie. And so now with all that said, let me know, what do you think about how Drake has been caught here?
This is a little bit crazy for me because I'm finding out a lot of information, not even just about Drake. I want to do my research on all these rappers he just named that have ghostwriters, bro. There's no way in hell Eminem got a ghostwriter, nigga. My mind is still on that shit. You feel me? Y'all gotta let me know, those of y'all that know if Eminem really had a ghostwriter and for what songs or song that he had the ghostwriter on. Please let me know so I can go listen to that song to see if I can figure out the difference. You feel me? That being said, y'all let me know down below in the comments what's y'all opinion on this whole video, because this shit is crazy. He went a little bit into detail about a little bit of everything. You feel me? And we're still not even caught up yet. Y'all, hit that big red subscribe button and that like button, and I will catch y'all tomorrow at 3 p.m. We are gone.